itself at that event, and on the 27th we're leaving, and we'll be back May 9th. So some of the membership will also be gone too. So I would ask that it be the third week of April or held until after sometime in May.
I think for a public hearing, we have to give it a, how many weeks? 2 weeks notice for a public hearing.
We're back the 7th of May, I believe. I'm ready.
All right. So would anybody else like to speak of this before we vote this to a public hearing?
I just want to say something quick. I thought there was going to be a public hearing today.
No, we have to do this.
So
yeah.
just with all due respect to Council Guanasso stating that some neighbors in that area are opposed to the way it is now. I'm one of the residents out of possibly 4 or 5 that was coming to the meetings before the school was done, and it was agreed upon that the traffic coming out of the school parking lot was supposed to be no left turn, so that traffic would not go through the residents. Cars were supposed to enter through Friend Street, come out of the parking lot, and go to Revere Street. We would have a crossing guard there for the kids. This would not make the traffic go through the neighborhoods, and we would not have this problem. That's why the problem is there. I informed the chief that time. Well, I called the school department after the signs went up, and they said you would have to call the traffic commission or the chief of police, which was Chief Reardon. And he told me, yes, we know the signs went up the wrong way, but we're going to wait and see how it goes. If the signs just turn the opposite direction and say no left turn going on out of the parking lot into Roosevelt, you will not have the problems going through the neighborhoods. That you have cars coming down Roosevelt to turn onto Washington. I'm out there when there's snowstorms to stop people. I live right on Washington because cars turn. There's no sidewalks to walk on for the kids. Kids are walking in the street, and that's why there's traffic going up McKinley. You're going to make all the traffic just go to one direction. You're only going to have one direction to get into the street because you have a one-way coming one way and the other. If they're looking for a simple solution, it's just to put the signs back the right way, the way that we had wanted them. No left turn out of the school parking lot. You have a crossing guard up there. You have all the traffic going. If you're going to make all the traffic go to McKinley or Cleveland, now you're going to have all that traffic at the top of those streets, no crossing guards for the kids to be able to get across the street, and you're going to probably see an accident later on. So the simplest solution is to make it where they can turn out of the school, and there's a crossing guard right there.
Frank, I recall that was Chief, part of the traffic plan, wasn't it?
Yes.
Chief, to add to that,
one second, just Chris.
What happened over there was the school bus dropped off at the front of the school.
Right.
The kids are exiting the parking lot at that corner of the school also. So it was determined that the cars were going up Roosevelt Street and the bus was coming down Roosevelt Street, and all the kids were exiting to that same corner.
But aren't the cars still coming up? I mean, some of them are going left, some of them are going right.
Yeah, they
right?
try to pull the cars.
They're going both ways, sir?
Down the street.
Sometimes, but we have the dog officer that stops them. But I can't see that you're going to penalize everybody in the neighborhood to only have one way in and one way out.
Well,
plus, it's, in case of an emergency. Plus, you're going to divert all the traffic to go up McKinley. That doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying. You don't need a study to tell you that. Too much traffic now.
Mr. Chairman, if I might add, if in fact that were put on for a public hearing that particular day, I'd be for that. I'd be for that proposal. But I was told initially because of public safety facility, they wouldn't change the pattern in which it was in. If in fact that would be changed, I would go for that too. And if we offer it up and we can offer it before the public, that's the way it was designed.
I remember that.
Absolutely.
It was part of the traffic plan.
That's not right.
All right, then do I entertain a motion to the public hearing? We'll discuss
put that as a public hearing.
All right, motion
before
made, accepted. A second.
Put that in place of this before. Also put this on in case it doesn't go through. But I would be for that. I think it makes all the sense in the world if they would do it. I was told they wouldn't change.
We just have to make sure that residents know, because 1 or 2 residents complaining. We've had that before. We changed the street, and then we get 100 that come in and want to kill people.
Well, I think most of the residents will be for that.
I mean, I remind you of Rumney Road.
I know. I jumped before.
Yeah.
I jumped
I
right
just
into
say, all the residents got to know. So, all right.
Yeah, everybody
we'll have
will
the public
know.
hearing, and Chris
Thank
will
you.
set the date. All right, item number 3, request from residents of the Beachmont area of Revere to address the intersection of Webster and Crescent Ave. This is the stop sign, no stop sign, stop sign. Is anyone here?
Move this to a public hearing.
Okay. Motion to move to public hearing. Second. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Okay. That's number 3 to a public hearing. Number 4, Mayor's Office requests the Traffic Commission consider amending scheduling. Yeah, somebody just put the sign up on their own and was about 5 feet high. I think it was Mr. Terrell, was it? I think so, yeah. Mayor's request that the Traffic Commission consider amending Schedule 21. Is he here? Of the Title 10 on on-street parking meter zones by removing the following. All right, we'll skip it. All right, item 4. That's all right. Just motion to. All right. Location is from Foster Street, northerly Broadway to 9 Foster Street. Foster Street, southerly Broadway, distance of 155 feet. Hyde Street, northerly Broadway at approximately 90 feet easterly. Hyde Street, southerly Broadway at a point approximately 110 feet easterly. Pleasant Street, northerly Broadway, a point approximately 100 feet easterly. Pleasant Street, southerly to Broadway, a point approximately 160 feet easterly. Winthrop Ave, northerly 10 Winthrop Ave to 12 Winthrop Ave. And Yeaman Street, southerly Broadway, 14 Yeaman Street parking lot entrance. And by replacing it with a 2-hour parking, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Motion to send to a public hearing. Motion, seconded. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Motion to a public hearing. Request number 5, request by Councilor Janino to restrict heavy trucks on Central Avenue.
We'll be able to speak on it tonight, so I brought the paperwork forward.
The only thing, I believe it too, I mean, they're just killing us. And I hate to say that generally it's the trucks from a certain business on Foster Street. But I don't think, can we restrict that? Where are they going to go? How are they going to get to Bell Circle?
Broadway Circle and run it. Get down 107.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having accidents there once a month. It's cost us a ton of money.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, but where did this guy go? The one that hit the photos I have here. He hit the bollards at Central Ave and Broadway, wiped them out. Usually the light, and then he took a right on Beach at Central. He must have been lost.
The only reason he stopped is he lost a tire in the back of the truck and bent the axle.
Oh,
He
really?
would have kept on going.
Oh, okay.
And the majority of them, as you know, the fire department, you call me over,
Yeah,
they take off and we lose them.
yeah. And generally, it is those trucks that are coming out of the business on Foster Street. Lumberyard.
You want to limit that to trailers?
You have to do a tonnage. You can't do. You have to give a weight. So anything, any tractor trailers. Are we going to do? That's because that's what's hitting them.
We can go
I don't
public
know.
hearing on it.
All right.
Just
All right.
public
Motion
hearing.
to send to a public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion to a public hearing. Number 6, request by Councilor Reardon to have a handicap parking sign installed at 19 Essex Street. Has Councilor Reardon gone through the process of what it's supposed to be done?
So supposedly the paperwork is in on it. I went by the other day and there is a driveway on the side of that residence. I don't know if the occupant's here or not.
Is there anyone here from 19 Essex Street like to speak on it? Councilor Reardon? No? No? Generally, it has to go before handicap, the Disability Commission, correct? And then you investigate it, and you've already looked, and there is a driveway, so there's a question on it. So do we hold this in abeyance for a while, or do we move it to a...
If you push it to public hearing, if the paperwork's in time for the public hearing, we can push it.
We can do it at that time? Okay.
I make a motion, we order this to a public.
Motion to make it a public hearing. Seconded? Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Number 6, to a public hearing. Item number 7, we're under request. Council Order 13-036 by Councilor Penta to institute a new parking violation as follows. Group D, fine, $50. Parking of any bus, taxi cab, hackney, pupil, or livery vehicle upon any street other than at a taxi stand. Councilor Penta, would you like to speak on this before we vote for public hearing?
Thank you, Chief, Honorable Board. The reason I put this motion in, this has nothing to do with local cabs, hackneys, anything like that. What it is, it's a problem that, it's across the whole city, but in my area, in Beachmont area, it's totally getting out of hand. I've been working on this thing for a year and a half. You have livery cars just driving here today. There was 6 of them on my street alone. On the side streets, another 4. 2 side streets. That's just on one street. On a Sunday morning, I could drive around any given time and find about 40 to 45 of these.
Yeah.
Every one of them are registered in Boston.
Correct.
The Boston cabs, by law, have to be registered in Boston. They're running businesses out of their houses. Right now, the ticket enforcement is from 6 at night to 6 in the morning. Unfortunately, we know that the police are shorthanded as it is, especially in the overnight shifts. They have enough to do. And they do ticket when they have a chance. But the tickets are so minimal that these people gladly pay them. For them to run their business is the way they're supposed to. If you came to the city of Revere to get a Hackney license delivery car, you have to show a place of business off-street,
Correct.
and none of them have it. They can't afford it. So they're registering these limos somewhere else. We're not getting excise tax for them. And they're running business out of the house. I see it on my own street when I go home. I call the police station probably on a daily basis. But you'll see people sitting in the cars. They drop their own cars off here to pick up a livery car, and then they go work at the airport. Unfortunately, we're so close to the airport, that's one of the reasons. I know Everett, Boston won't even give another livery license out. I know the Hackney officer in Boston, he told me that they're all coming to Revere and they're going to Everett. I see it in my own
We're not
eyes.
issuing a livery license, are we? No. But, and we, just that, we get them in site plan all the time, because they get being told by Massport, they must have a address that they show as a place of business. So they've been coming to site plan, we've been directed, and we've told them on a regular basis that they can't operate out of their home. They must get a business address or commercial
That is correct.
property. So they're just ignoring us for the most part.
They're ignoring you, and they're getting their cars registered in Brookline, wherever. There's 300 Boston cabs registered at a P.O. box in Boston. Boston don't care because, you know what? They make an
get the
excise tax.
and, yeah.
They're getting the best of both worlds without the headache of
And the
cabs paying
license
it.
fee, yeah.
You know, so all I'm asking for is just to be enforced, and unfortunately, like I said, to help the police department out,
Does that go to public hearing? Yes. Fine.
to help the police department out, the ticket writers are out there every day, and they can enforce this. I mean, it's about enforcement, and it's about hitting them in the pockets because they don't care. I've actually talked to several of these people in my own area, telling them that I am going to do everything in my power to make you live by our ordinance. Now, our local cabs and they have to abide by off-street parking overnight. It's not even fair to them that these people are coming here, running the business, like I said.
All right,
It's
so what-
saving money in this.
what-
So I'm
what-
asking for the enforcement to
Yeah.
be 24/7,
Okay.
okay? So, I mean, if you know the business, which I do, I happen to work at Massport. If you know the business, what happens is they're so close to the airport, they're probably working 20 out of 24 hours on any given day.
What about that cab or the pupil car or something like that that pulls up and either, maybe they're making a delivery or they're doing something and, huh?
I don't have a problem with the pupil cars.
No, I
They
know,
put
but I
that
mean,
in there.
they, you know,
They-
sometimes they're tagging,
Well, the reason they put that in there, I believe the clerk put it in there, is the ordinance right now, all they're really doing, extending the hours and upping the tickets from 25 to
Okay.
50, and that's what's on the books right now, from
All
6
right.
at night to 6 in the morning. If you want to take the pupil cars out, I don't have a
no,
problem.
no, I'm
with
just saying any of them, any taxi, if he help, let's say the guy helps the person in with their bags and here comes one of the meter maids and bang.
it. But I mean, parking's in Beachmont, everybody knows.
Okay.
It's tough to park, never mind these Boston cabs and Boston livery cars running businesses, taking up people's parking space around their own house.
Okay.
Way to exempt taxis that are medallion out of police department or licensed through the city
I
during the daytime hours anyways?
I don't know, but my point is this, if they're parked there during the day,
I venture to say that.
they're sleeping and they're running a business out of their house, which is illegal. It's actually illegal. It's actually illegal if they have two or more of these in their driveway. Now it becomes the building department's issue. It's not even the traffic commission, the building, because they're running out of their house. They don't even have to park them in their driveway.
The ones that have been around the house, we've been grabbing them one at a time as they're renewing and shutting them down. As they come to the stage with the paperwork to be filled out and the Massport certificates, we're shutting them down one at a time as they're coming into me.
I understand you're not shutting them down, but they're not, like the chief just said, they're not paying attention. They're ignoring you and doing their business as you shut them down. Trust me, they'll gladly pay $50, $100 a week to park there. They'll gladly pay it. That's why they pay the ticket, so they go under the radar. You know.
Councilman, I said you want to amend this to 24 hours because it only says weekly fine to increase to $50.
There should be two things on the agenda today. Maybe I'm speaking on the first one, but there's two things on there. One going 24/7, because right now it's 6 p.m. to 6 in the morning, and our ticket writers don't work those hours. So that's why I'm asking 24 hours, and weekends also.
Okay.
Thank
Is there
you.
any, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I think there's some other people who'd like to speak.
I agree.
We have to go to a public
I agree
hearing.
1,000% with Councilor Penta, because I had the same situation in Ward 3. And whereas come weekends, a bunch of taxis congregate in a particular location, and they play cards throughout the whole night, and they gladly pay the cheap fine that we have offered out so far, because it's not a deterrent to anything. So for the common sense, and I think Council said every word that possibly could be said about it, to protect the neighborhood is the most important fabric, and I think we should ordain this as soon as possible.
Anyone else liking to speak? Okay.
I just want to clarify, if this change does take place, that it exempts, specifies exempt local taxis in the businesses that are in the city.
I'm just, legally, I'm not sure. That would be something the solicitor would have to look at.
Well, if a taxi has a medallion issued by the city of Revere,
Could we put that into the rewriting of it?
I don't know if that's
That would have
legal.
to be put in, because
You'd
I-
have to let this, the solicitor would have to look at that. That's discriminatory to a certain extent, no? Isn't it? I mean,
no, because delivery businesses offer a business certificate by the city of Revere, which they're not getting. They're getting it at a P.O. box somewhere else. They're operating the business illegally out of Revere. And then you have the taxi companies who do both. They're doing pupil livery and,
Right.
regular, but they all, for the most part, from what I see, I may be misinformed, but my understanding that companies like KG and others all have medallions on their cars that operate all three particular types.
no, I understand that, but I think
So if
to do this properly, and so that, in other words, they all could get appealed if we don't do it, maybe we should just talk to the solicitor, Chris, first, if we're going to say Revere medallions be exempt. I mean, I'm for it, but I mean, you have to
Well, they
make
need
this
to be
stand up.
exempt. I mean, I've been in business
Well, I
for 20
understand they
years.
need to be, but they
Right.
might not be allowable under, when you're fining people for parking. No, I'm right here, Group D. That's what he's talking about.
We're talking about section 7, correct? Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Well,
the
Sergeant
request.
Genino, they're not exempt now, are they? No. No,
Yeah.
so how can we make them exempt? We're only increasing the fine from 25 to 50.
Right.
This part 7 is just about the fine one. I think we're back on the public hearing with Mr. Odoazo in regards to the issuing of the tickets, which will come in section 7 on the public hearings. So
We'll talk about that, all right. We're going to take that up at the public hearing for the change in the ordinance, okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
On this section, no. I'll
Okay.
wait till we go to the next.
All right, so I have a motion to, Council Order
I make a motion
1306.
that we move this to a public hearing.
and a second? All in favor? Aye. Public hearing. The mayor's come in, we can go back to item number 4. Mr. Mayor, would you like to speak on the, oh? Well, number 4 is the mayor's request for the traffic commission for the on-street parking meter zones.
Yeah, there's actually two issues involving meters. One of them is down by Prospect Ave and Broadway, and the other one is involving 4 streets in
Yeah, we have the Foster Street and Hyde Street, and Yeeman and Winthrop Ave, but there's nothing on Prospect.
He's looking at section 1, section 4, page 2.
Section 4, what?
So that's already gone through. Oh, yeah, okay. So that has to go to a public hearing? But for the Hyde Street, Union Street, what council? Yes, okay, so, I thought that's what this was, no?
Two different items.
Your ordering second from affirmative that section off to a public hearing. The
entertain a motion for item number 4. All in favor? A second? All in favor? Aye. Item number 4, motion to a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with the section that I'm talking about here. This has to do with the replacement of meters with signage that I believe we've agreed to or had talked about moving to, I believe, 1 hour parking or 2 hour parking.
2 hour parking, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through
2 hour
Friday.
parking, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I think that is going to make it a little more business friendly up here around City Hall. Oftentimes, whether it's the fact that the meters are broken or, people for whatever reason, they have to wait an extended period of time in City Hall, doing business. It just seems like we're not really resident friendly in and around the area immediately around City Hall. So I was hoping what we could do is take those meters out and instead replace them with 2 hour parking. So that will allow people to take care of business in and around our central business district, without the fear of having to run out with quarters. I mean, not many people today. I'm not sure with the members of the commission that are sitting here right now, how many of you actually have quarters in your pocket right now. A lot of people, it just isn't realistic anymore that they're carrying around loose change. And as a result, one of the things that I've seen during my term as mayor here of the city is there's nothing that will set people off more than parking tickets will. So I'm not suggesting that we don't issue parking tickets anymore because people have to abide by our parking ordinances, but this will just be a little change in the way that we enforce our ordinances and try to be a little bit more resident friendly when people come up around City Hall or the post office and want to do business here. It's, these typically are our own residents. They're not people from out of town. They're people who generally live here. And I think that we should show a little bit of, I don't know, extend a certain courtesy to them when they are up here doing business in our downtown. That's what we're trying to, to promote in our downtown area, to get people back into our downtown district. It's a process. It's a 2, 3, 4 year process that we've undertaken, but this is all part of it. This all plays into it. And so I know that myself, speaking for the administration, would greatly appreciate the approval of these particular changes that we're looking to implement.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Revere City Council at Large, John Correggio, 30 Graves Road, Revere. As the mayor indicated about the meters, I'm in support of what the mayor presented. But one in particular is Liberto's Bakery. There's one meter there that has 15-minute parking, and that try to be a little more accommodating to the area of Liberto's Bakery. People get baked goods and they come right out to the car. They don't stay long. And there's 3 signs there that says 15-minute parking. So taking this
Council,
one,
that's not on our list, so maybe you ought to make another motion for that. Is that on? That's on the public hearing. That's not on the one we're talking about right now.
all right, if we could maybe add that
Yeah.
in.
Well, it's on the later. It's on the next. Right now, we're just talking on request, and we ordered those requests to a public hearing.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Council Reardon, you came in late, and on item number 6, we did order that to a public hearing. Request for a handicap parking sign installed at 19 Essex. Okay. The only thing we would remind whoever is applying for that they must go through the commission. Okay, and that's all set in the paperwork. Okay, because Sergeant Janina went by the location. There was a driveway there, so they're handling that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Item number
Mr. Chairman.
8. Yes.
Based on the conversation the mayor is speaking of in terms of the parking meters to be removed, in terms of being more friendly to the area people, I, for one, was tagged for $100 a couple of days ago based on the fact that I just
Did you
pulled
bring it to
over
the
to
mayor?
talk to a
No.
constituent. So this is, we have, she's very aggressive, and, whether they're trained that way or whatever they're being made, I would suggest very strongly that maybe we speak to the parking officials to be more sensitive to the needs of some of the constituents and the residents of our community. I know they have an unbelievably bad job, and it's a tough job to do, but I don't think you should aggravate or agitate the situation. When someone gets a fine, they don't particularly like it, but I think there's a manner in which you conduct business in it, and certainly when showing that we want these parking meters removed shows that we're trying to help some of the neighborhood. But I don't think the neighborhood and the residents of Revere should be attacked by a parking meter person because, and that's my experience over the past several years, and I wanted to publicly air that in a
All right,
public.
you weren't physically attacked. I mean.
No, because if I was physically attacked, I know I would be hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 8, Council Order 13-033 by Councilor Guanasso to amend Schedule 5 of Title 10 one-way streets by deleting Fernwood Ave Westerly from 15 Fernwood Ave to Alston and replacing with Fernwood Ave Westerly Broadway to Alston Street. This is probably the 17th time we're going to move this. Councilor Guanasso, would you like to speak on this, Fernwood Ave? This is your request. Fernwood Ave Westerly.
Yes.
This is at least 17 times we've changed this.
Well, no, you never.
Oh, yeah.
17 times requested, never
Back
changed.
and forth. Oh, no, it's been changed. It's been changed. But
Commissioners,
yes, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Council.
Commissioners, I beg before you again,
To when I was in the council 12 years ago.
and I've been asking for the same thing. That is a nightmare at that particular location based on the heavy movement of traffic. I mean, you get them coming out of the drug facility and you have them going in. It's just an absolute nightmare for the people who live on Fernwood Ave. And some sort of relief's got to be given.
Well,
I
would only
Mr.
say,
Chairman?
Councilor, you want it to go one way.
Going into Fernwood. So to keep the traffic exiting
I can only say that
Walgreens
that
on the
will
main.
be all negated if the McKinley School and the end.
Well, everything's going to be negated once that happens, but
But
in the meantime,
Why
let's.
confuse the issue? I mean, all due reason. I mean,
They were talking
you're
about
entitled.
that for years, that the McKinley School was going to go there. And
It's
and-
going. It's going.
And what's going to happen now is, I'm asking people to change their
Yeah.
way of thinking
Who-
based on.
May I ask who's complaining?
I'm not going to get
No.
his name.
Well,
but Angelo has been very outspoken to many of the councils, and I'm sure if he were here today.
Because
he's
we have gone through
he's
this a
senior
number of
citizen,
times, and
and he's really concerned about his safety.
it affects the business, the Walgreens itself. It affects the taxi drivers that are coming in and out of there, and the health. The health
taxi
building.
drivers more
And then
often
we're
than not are coming
impacting
out.
Alston. We're
Coming out.
impacting Alston Street
Yeah,
as well.
I don't.
Okay. All right. So motion to we have to go to public hearing.
Yeah.
Motion to a public hearing.
I make the offer.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Item number 8 is a motion to a public hearing. Okay, that concludes our request. We're now going to move forward. Well, we have, do we want to do the bicycle thing first? That's number 1? What is it? What- All right, so you're going to hold the request? All right. All right, so this portion of the meeting is going to go to public hearings. And the first order is Section 1. You're going to go to Section 2 first? That's just the X, okay. Section 2, Schedule 8 of the Title 10 of the Parking Regulations. The City of Revere is hereby amended by deleting the following. Broadway, easterly, from Hyde Street to Pleasant Street, with type parking of 25 minimum parking spaces. Broadway, easterly to Hyde Street, intersection of Yeamans, City Hall Business to Central Ave, and municipal parking lot, 1 hour parking. Central Ave, side, Monday through Friday, first 10 parking spaces, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Both aisles, including 2 handicapped, Saturday, parking spaces, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Any proponents? Mr. Mayor, do you want to? We have a letter from the parking czar. Huh?
Just to clarify, Chief, what this is going to do is eliminate the 25-minute parking in front of City Hall, all the spots out there. It's going to eliminate the 1-hour parking in the municipal parking lot, which is the first 10 spaces in the parking lot, plus the 2 HP spots in the parking lot. The lot's already slated up for about 140 meters on the books, which aren't in there yet. It's eliminated.
So the parking clerk is, previous parking regulations which allow 25-minute parking for City Hall business only was not effective since most people use the spaces for City Hall business. I urge Traffic Commission to approve this amendment. Secondly, I urge the Traffic Commission to amend the following parking regulations in the Central Avenue Municipal Parking Lot in the first 10 spaces, which allows 1-hour parking. Due to the development of the 3rd and 4th floors of Citizens Bank Building at the intersection of Broadway and Central Avenue at Massachusetts General Hospital Medical Facility, there will be a greater demand for time-regulated metered parking spaces in the municipal parking lot, which regulation already exists in our existing parking regulations. I urge adoption of this amendment. And lastly, I urge the Traffic Commission to rename a number of fire lane parking regulations by deleting the corporate names. All right, that's part of the other section. Okay. John Henry. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I know this obviously wasn't submitted by myself, or I don't believe any city councilors. This was submitted by the parking clerk, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, and I guess I'm just looking for some clarity here from the members of the commission. So the parking in front of City Hall, where there's currently no meters, there will not be any meters there? Am I correct in saying that, or?
There'll be no free parking, and there'll be meters.
So he's looking to install meters there as opposed to the parking the way it is now?
We're already on the books that meters from the overpass in Chelsea line to Revere Street. So on the books, we put meters in front of City Hall.
Chris, hit your mic, please.
According to the ordinances, we could have meters in front of City Hall if the 25-minute parking is removed. Have meters there tomorrow.
So by removing this, it gives that, because of what's already on the books, meters can be installed there?
Yes.
No, well, that actually flies in the face of what we're looking to do. I would oppose these changes, absolutely. I'm not sure what's behind it, but you know, there's already signage up there that gives people really minimal time to park in front of City Hall. I'm not sure.
Is it being abused? I don't think so, right?
No, the signs are all down right now. When they redid the parking lot out front over the sidewalks,
Yeah.
the signs came down.
Oh, so now people are just sitting there?
In the past, when we have had events at City Hall, we've had the opportunity to clear the whole front of the building out and cone it off in no time at all because there's 25-minute parking. You know,
So we don't want meters.
it looks like you move that parking over there, we're open for meters up front. So it's up to,
Yeah.
So if we kept a restriction, open for business, City Hall business with it, the 25-minute, they chalk the wheel, and if they're there longer, then they
Absolutely.
get it, right?
Absolutely. So there's already a provision in place for people to be ticketed if they're trying to park there for commuter parking or anything like that, or for excessive. You know, quite honestly, I'm looking to move in a direction where we're taking down some meters here. We can still enforce parking without parking meters, so I would be in opposition to this, quite honestly, with all due respect to the parking clerk, who has obviously been doing this job for a long time, but I just philosophically do not agree with these particular changes. So you can debate it amongst yourselves as to the pros and the cons, but if this is going to make way for additional parking meters to go up in front of City Hall, I think it's unnecessary, and I would like to see it remain as is. So that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, then let me go. Obviously, the parking clerk was a proponent. The mayor is against that specific part. I'd like to keep it. Any other proponents? Anybody in favor of this portion of the public hearing for these parking meters? Any proponents? That's all right. No, proponents, anyone? No one? Okay. Now, the mayor has already gone up in an opponent. Now, Councilor Guanasso.
I rise also to join my brother, the mayor, in reference to this. This is absolutely absurd. We're trying to make Revere a more friendly environment for all our residents, and this doesn't do that. And I certainly, for all the reasons that the mayor has spoken previously, I don't agree with this change at all, and I would wish the commission would vote this down.
Thank you.
Councilor John Correggio, I'm also opposed to it. I agree with the mayor's sentiments. Leave well enough alone. It's in the best interest of the city to try to accommodate the residents as much as we can. They pay the taxes. The least we can do is eliminate some of these meters and keep it the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Any of the members?
I'd just like to make a basic comment here. That I think that the thought of many members of this present administration and some of the former administration is the fact that we need to make the central business districts, which includes City Hall, to be more user-friendly, not only for people utilizing our government services, but also to help out the businesses that, in these days, they're struggling a little bit, and they need a little bit of help and effort wherever they can get it. And this kind of flies in the face of that. I think that any time that we can accommodate our residents in our business community, which contributes greatly to not only taxes, but civic groups, civic organizations, Little Leagues, Girl Scouts, things of that nature, 25 cents, 50 cents, $1, for them to come in and not have a quarter in their pocket, as the mayor presently stated, because everybody lives by the ATM card today. I know I do. I don't have 2 cents in my pocket, never mind a quarter. I live off of plastic. So the whole idea of a guy running in to, pick something up at the veterinary store across the street, and he's in and out in 3 minutes, and he comes out and he's got a $20, $15, $25 ticket on his car, I think is kind of absurd. And that flies in the face of what we're trying to do here is to make government more accessible and our businesses more accessible for the people, so they can succeed and the government can succeed on behalf of the residents of the city. So my position is I will be voting no on this, and that's my statement for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, good afternoon. We're trying to open a substation on Pleasant Street with 2 metered parking spots in front of it. It kind of defeats, it's contradictory. People want to come in and be serviced by the police, but it's going to cost them 25 cents to do it. It doesn't really make any sense. On a personal note, as many of you know, my father passed away a couple of weeks ago, and there's people getting tickets coming to his wake for not putting money in the meter. It was a long line, granted, a little bit more than the 15 minutes allotted by the quarter. So I would be opposed to this.
Mr. Chairman, I was on the commission when we instituted the 25-minute parking, so were you, in front of City Hall, and it was done for the sole reason to help people who are coming in doing business in City Hall run in, take care of their business, and run right out again. So I would like to see that maintained because it's functioned pretty well up to now.
I have to admit, I park there all the time coming to City Hall, and it's a constant reflow, so I think it'll be good. So I guess I'd entertain we go down in this part of Section 2, and we vote individually. Does anybody have any comments on the rest of it, on the municipal parking lot? And
The only thing I say is the second part, Broadway east of the High Street to Eamon Street, is just repetitive of the first part. So we should probably remove that off the books if we're going to leave the first part on, because it's just repeating itself over again.
Okay. So, do I have a motion that we, under Section 2, it'd be location Broadway easterly to Hyde Street, Pleasant Street, 25 minimum parking spaces. Is that 25 minute parking spaces? He wants to delete that and put in meters. So,
It doesn't say he wants to meet it.
he just,
It doesn't say no meters. It says he wants to delete the 25-minute parking out front there. But according to the on-street parking ordinance on here, Broadway is slated for meters both sides, Revere Beach Parkway to to 769 Broadway, corner of Prince Street.
Okay. So is there a motion to,
I make a motion to deny the first section, Broadway East Lee from Hyde Street to Pleasant Street, removing the 25-minute parking.
and to keep the existing,
Keep the existing one
okay.
in place, correct.
do I have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Voted so. Okay. Sergeant Janino says this Broadway Easterly Hyde Street intersection of Emons. That's what I don't understand. It's on the opposite side of the street, that's why.
Yeah, but Easterly, no, same side, Easterly side. Broadway Easterly.
Oh, then how does he get to the intersection of Emons?
They wrote it up twice when they did it, whoever did it.
All right, so this is
It
a,
appears to be a, when they put this in originally, whoever put it in.
you know what it looks like? It actually looks like it's been tabbed the wrong way. Like City Hall Business, Central Ave, I mean, that shouldn't be on the same line. In other words, it's City Hall Business. The intersection of Yeamans, it should be, City Hall Business should be on the next line with the municipal parking lot, 1 hour parking. That's where it should be. That should be 2 lines, right? I think it's just a typo. But we're going to eliminate Yeaman Street. We're going to, motion to, we're going to, this Democratic. Broadway, Easterly, Hyde Street, and do we have a motion to eliminate the second portion? That Broadway, Easterly, Hyde Street intersection of Emons. Huh? That's a typo. Yeah, it's on me. That's where it says City Hall Business Central Ave. That should be on the next line with municipal parking lot and everything underneath it. And I agree with the municipal parking lot because there is going to be quite a bit of additional parking down there now with the medical facility. They're going to actually move from here down to there, from the Broadway area, City Hall.
Mr. Chairman,
Nick?
should that read westerly?
That's what I thought it should have been, but it still should be. But we didn't have that 20, we had meters over there, right? There are meters on the westerly side of Broadway at Yeaman.
They sent to our office came this way. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Broadway, Easterly, High Street to intersection.
Yeamans.
Instead of-
And what's it say? You can read. I don't want, yeah? Sergeant Janino has the ordinance, and this is, what does it say?
So sides Broadway, side Easterly, Hyde Street in front of City Hall to Pleasant Street. 25-minute parking for City Hall business. And then it repeats over to Broadway, Easterly, Hyde Street, the intersection with Yeaman Street, 25-minute. It just repeats itself over. So we're trying to pick it out from the ordinance as it sits. The second one, we want to remove the second one, leave the first one.
So it shouldn't be there. The second one shouldn't be there. All right. Do I have a motion to eliminate that from the books while we're here, right? Anyone? Anyone?
I make a motion to remove the City Hall business to Central Ave.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye, okay. So that means that we've said no to that, the first one in Section 2, Broadway East Lead, Hyde Street to Pleasant. It'll remain as is now. And we're eliminating that line, which is a duplication, does not appear to make sense. And now we're on to the portion that says City Hall Business, well, Central Ave Municipal Parking Lot, the 1 hour parking. Have you looked at that, Chris? Is that, anyone have anything?
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve that.
Okay.
Make it
Then-
1 hour parking because of the businesses that are going to be using that
Okay.
area.
Second?
Stop.
Stop.
That eliminates it.
He's eliminating
That
this?
eliminates the 1 hour parking.
What's he want to do there?
Meters. The lot set up for 160 meters. On-street parking meters. Off-street parking meters.
Do we have any
What this over here
opponents to that?
All right, just let me clarify this here. Section 3 is Central Avenue, municipal parking lot, then it's 1 hour parking. All right, Monday to Friday, first 10 spaces, including the handicap spaces. And he wants to have them removed from the books. All right, we went to the lot yesterday, me and the chief went over there, and the only spots that were open in that lot were the 1 hour parking spots.
So it currently says it's 1 hour parking. the parking clerk has said that he urges the traffic commission to amend the parking regulations for the first 10 spaces, which allows 1-hour parking, due to the development of third and fourth floors of Citizens Bank, blah, 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 medical facility. There are greater demand for time-regulated metered parking spaces in the municipal parking lot. So some person that goes into the doctor's office for more than 15 minutes is going to get a ticket, right? Well, if they're allowed an hour, yeah, I mean, that's at least something, yeah.
That's insane.
So we're denying all of Section 2. Well, motion to deny Section 2, second by Chief Caffarelli, all in favor? No, we haven't got to Section 3 yet. Well, if by doing this, we're saying no to this new request for the Section 2, correct? Okay. That was confusing. Okay, on Section 3, Title 12 of Title 10, Schedule 12 of Title 10 of the Parking Regulations, City of Revere, is hereby amended by deleting the following. Location, Bally's, Brooks, Johnny's, Foodmaster, Brooks, Shaw's, and by inserting in place thereof the following location: drugstore, supermarket, and drugstore. Anyone? Commission? Any proponents?
That's just an ordinance cleanup.
Correct,
What it
yeah,
does is
cleaning
it
up.
pulls out all the,
It stops the names and
names
just
and
gives
puts
it
them in
generic.
generic.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second? All in favor? Aye, okay. Section 4, Schedule 21 of Title 10 of the on-street parking meter zones of the City of Revere is hereby amended by removing the parking meter. Removing? He's asking to remove a meter? You never did that before.
This is a request from the mayor.
No, oh, is this Section 4, yeah?
We're off January.
Oh, we're off January, okay. He never asked to remove a meter, you know. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This really just involves removing one parking meter and replacing it with 15-minute parking. This, is a sore spot for the business owner at that location. Actually, there's a couple businesses at that location, but one of them has been a solid citizen, solid business here in the city, Danny Liberto, who supports really virtually every organization in this city. And there's nothing worse for him than when people come running in, they go in for a loaf of bread, and for whatever reason they get tagged down there. I think 15-minute parking would be fair. If someone is in there for longer than 15 minutes, then the parking clerk would have the opportunity to issue a citation. But again, the meter just puts that obstacle, out there, and it seems as though the timing for some of these meter maids always seems to be perfect when somebody runs in to just spend 5 or 10 minutes in line. So, it's just one meter. I couldn't imagine how much revenue the city could generate from that one particular meter, but I think in the interest of being, a good neighbor, I know this business is a good neighbor to the city. I'd like to be a good neighbor back and ask the commission to vote favorably to remove that 1 meter.
Mr. Mayor. Any other proponents?
Thank you. I agree with the sentiments of the mayor. Liberto's Bakery has been there for years, and also other businesses, and there is signage already there, 15-minute parking. So this 1 meter is basically kind of a hindrance. It supersedes like the 15-minute sign. A lot of people buy bakery products. They're only in there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they come out and they have a $20 ticket on their car. And the meter really doesn't belong there. There's 3 signs there, and we want to try to do the best we can to try to support the businesses and also the residents. And he pays good taxes there. It's a very busy, Liberto's Bakery is very, very busy, especially now with the Easter and the holiday. It's going to be busy, and we don't want to see people getting ticketed for that business or that area. So hopefully we can take the meter out as soon as possible to better accommodate those businesses. Thank you.
Any other proponents?
Mr. Chairman, Arthur Quinasso, Ward 3. I have the same situation on Revere Street where there are a few businesses there that come to me for a 15-minute sign, and you graciously enough have accepted that. And Liberto's is asking for a similar situation because of the very aggressive meter, people that tag all these cars, the meter maids or whatever you want to call them, parking clerks. They certainly are very aggressive, and you don't give you enough time to go out and do your shopping. And I'm thankful that you've awarded me this on Revere Street, so I'm asking the same for Liberto's Bakery on Broadway. Thank you.
Okay. Any other proponents? Yes, lovely young lady. Would you state your name and address?
My name is Joanne Janino, 14 Sigourney Street, Revere, and I have a pocket full of quarters. I have enough quarters for meters for everybody in this room because I'd never come to Broadway without them. And I am in favor of that meter being removed. Someone in my family actually did get a ticket there within the last month, and that's not why I'm here. And the ticket was paid, but they went in for a couple of pieces of pastry, came out. Less than 5 minutes, and the car was tagged. But I do believe that Danny Liberto has been good to everyone in this city. Anyone who goes there for a donation or whatever, he's like unbelievable. I don't know any other business person like him. So I would really hope that you would all vote to have this parking meter removed. And I agree with everything the mayor said tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Any opponents? Seeing none? Members of the board? Just let me clarify. This has gone back and forth over the years. And I believe we gave a loading zone, and I thought we gave a 15-minute parking. Is this another 15-minute parking?
There's one more parking. Like I said to the commissioners, currently there's only one meter in the whole block over there, in front of that place.
Okay.
It's the only meter over there.
Okay. But we did a loading zone, and we had quite a battle with the parking clerk before about making a 15-minute spot,
You
right?
gave him one 15-minute spot, and then we gave him his driveway, where we made the curb cut,
Right.
to park a second car in there.
Okay. Okay. So this is just eliminating that only other meter in that block. Okay. Anyone?
Well, I think it's just flies in the face of reason that you would do something just to accommodate. It's one meter, one store. As Ms. Gino eloquently stated, the character of Dan Liberto and what he's done for the children in this community going back 20 years. I think that it just flies in the face of reason that we remove this meter. I don't believe that the city is deriving astronomical revenues from this thing, that it's going to hurt us. I'm going to support it 100%. That's all I'm going to say at this time.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to approve it. Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve. No, we're not approving it. We're disproving it. We're removing it. Okay. We're saying no. We're saying amended by removing the parking meter, correct? We're approving that. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So section 4 is approved. Which one is it? Oh, okay. All right, we're going to go back to our request. A motion to go back to the request. Thank you. Okay, all opposed. Number 1, request for approval of the proposed bike lane and signage along Revere Street. I thought the mayor was talking on this. Any proponents?
Yes. Hi, gentlemen.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is Price Armstrong. I work for the Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition, which is at 171 Milk Street in Boston.
Yeah.
So I'm testifying in support of the bike lane and signage. I just wanted to touch on a couple of items relating to safety. I won't take very much of your time. I wanted to note that the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials and the Massachusetts Department of Transportation both cite bike lanes and sharrows as proven measures for improving bicyclist safety. The ways in which arrows and bike lanes do that, it improves motorist awareness of bicyclists. It also improves bicyclist behavior, so it reduces the likelihood that a bicyclist will go down the street on the wrong side of the road if there are big arrows saying, bicyclists go here and go in this direction. And then finally, I just want to point out that this is one of the big E's of making a community more bikeable, which is engineering, enforcement, and education. Finally, last point is that one of the biggest ways that you can improve bicyclist safety is just getting more bicyclists on the street. You can look at a number of cities where the number of bicyclists has increased and the number of bike crashes has remained steady or decreased. Minneapolis is a great example where bicycling increased by 130% and crashes went down by 60%. So as a quick anecdote, I was riding along with a gentleman from Lowell in downtown Boston on the Greenway, and the bike lane sort of disappears for a little while and then it picks back up, and he turned around, he's like, when that bike lane picked back up, I just got this sense of, it just feels so nice. So building this infrastructure is a great way of encouraging bicycling, and just by virtue of having more bicyclists on Revere Street, you are likely to improve safety, sort of all things being equal. So I'm happy to take any questions or...
Where does it actually start?
I'm sorry?
Where do you, on Revere Street, in total, or are you starting from American Legion Highway with the lane?
I believe it's just Revere Street.
No, I know, but Revere Street goes quite a distance.
Oh, sorry. From American Legion Highway to the beach. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay. And it is just on one side, or is it on both sides?
Correct. My understanding is that it's just
easterly?
on one side.
Just easterly?
I believe so.
Going towards the beach?
Yeah, and the next speakers will give more details on the on the project itself.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other proponents?
I have a presentation loaded up. I guess that needs to go up on the screen.
I'm sorry?
I have a presentation loaded
You
up.
do? Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure how that... Okay. David Lautzenheiser with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, 60 Temple Place in Boston. MAPC is the regional planning agency for Metropolitan Boston. We've been working with the city for the last 6 to 8 months to prepare a bicycle network plan for the city. The city produced a survey shown up here showing that the top destination for cyclists is going to the beach. And as a result of our plan, we prepared a bicycle network plan that covers the entire city. One of the key roads, one of the key destinations in the city is going to the beach as well as to downtown and Broadway. And the best opportunity for that is Revere Street, as shown in the circle on the map. So what we're proposing to do here is to shift the lane designations a bit, providing a bicycle lane in one direction and a shared lane marking in the other direction, as shown in the schematic there. This is the existing condition right now. There's parking on the left side. There's a travel lane next to the parking. In the opposite direction, there is a single travel lane. And finally, this is the proposed condition. The parking remains. There's a shared lane marking in the direction of travel that's eastbound toward the beach. In the westbound direction, there is the travel lane and then the bicycle lane to the right of that. So no parking is removed, no travel lanes are removed, and then provides marking and signage for cyclists on Revere Street. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Good afternoon, good evening. My name is James Tauser. I'm president of Bike to the Sea, and I'm also here representing the members in the MGH. The thing is, I like to see bike lanes. I've been riding my bike into Boston since Mayor Menino, who was against bikes at first, and then he came down with an illness and started riding a bike, and he noticed that there was nowhere to travel with a bike safely. And then he started putting bike lanes in, and I love riding my bike in Boston. I really do, and I would love to ride my bike in Revere, going to the beach, but it's kind of tricky on 107 coming from Saugus, and because you have to go through that rotary to the beach. So I like to see bike lanes in this fine city. I really would, and thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents?
Good evening. Nicholas Oreskovic from MGH Revere on 300 Ocean Avenue. Thank you for having me this afternoon. I won't take up too much of your time. I wanted to talk a little bit about physical activity, obesity, and the impact of bicycling and what it can do to this community. As you probably all know, obesity and physical activity is a massive problem among the adult population and pediatric population within our country, our state, and even right here in Revere. I see both adults and children at MGH Revere. 60% of adults are obese, and 15% of kids are obese in Massachusetts. And in Revere, 26% of adults are obese, and 44% of school children either overweight or obese. This is a serious problem, which unfortunately I'm very familiar with as a physician caring for children and adults in Revere. Obesity is harmful both because of its immediate effects, but also because of its long-term effects, and it also has significant financial implications. The annual medical care cost of obesity in the United States in 2008 was estimated to be over $147 billion with a B. Children who are obese are more likely to have low self-esteem, participate less in sports, and obesity in childhood can lead to serious medical complications both as a child and during adulthood. One of the good ways to fight obesity is with physical activity. Physical activity is not just helpful to protect against becoming obese, but it also has merits in its own right in terms of improving health. Physical activity is known to increase bone strength, decrease the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. It decreases the risk of cancer and improves mental health and mood, and it will also increase your lifespan. And physical activity also improves performance in school and children. Riding a bike is a great way to get physical activity and meet the physical activity recommendations. In a recent study in New York, investigators looked at having bicycle lanes and a stable bicycle infrastructure and how that impacted physical activity levels in low-income communities. And they found that nearly 65% of the cyclists who were using the bicycle lanes met daily physical activity recommendations. In another study right here out of Boston, which included over 18,000 adult women, bicycling was associated with less weight gain over time, and there was an inverse dose relationship such that the more you rode a bicycle, the less likely you were to gain weight. Anecdotally, in the Netherlands, which has an extensive infrastructure for bicycle riding, over a quarter of the population rides bicycles, and the obesity rate there in 2009 was 12%. So, in conclusion, I think building a stable physical urban infrastructure to support healthy lifestyles is crucial to improving the health of Revere. Building a bicycle lane in Revere is an important step in the many commendable recent steps this town has taken to improve health over the last several years. As a physician and scientist committed to improving the health of Revere, I really urge you to take the steps necessary to help the medical community maintain and improve the health of the residents of the city of Revere. And on a more personal note, as a descendant of Revere, whose grandmother was born and lived here until the ripe age of 99, and my mother grew up here, and I even lived here a couple of years myself on Beach Street off Bell Circle after college. I have a deep commitment to Revere, and that's why I came back here to practice after graduating medical school and finishing my training. And I think Revere has really done some wonderful things in the last dozen years or so with improving the health of its citizens. And I think starting to build a solid bicycling infrastructure within the city is really will pay homage to that and go a long way towards continuing to improve the health of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. It's very nice. Thank you. Anyone else? Proponents? Proponents? Any opponents? Anyone?
Mr. Chairman, Arthur Guanasso, Councilor of Ward 3 for many years. Mr. Chairman, I do suggest there isn't anyone in this room, coupled with a couple of neighbors who live in Ward 3, that travel and traverse Revere Street more than I. I'm up and down Revere Street no less than 10, 20 times a day. And each and every minute that I travel that Revere Street, it occurs to me very strongly that it's a very heavily trafficked area, a very dangerous area by automobile, let alone a bike. Now, I suggest bicycling, as the good doctor has stated from MGH, I being a brother member of MGH for 41 years, and for David and James and Price, who so adequately spoke out about the wonderful things that a bicycling does for the community. Given the proper location, I don't care what anybody says. No one will change my mind that Revere Street is not the area for a bike lane. And they say that there's not going to be one space removed from parking. For God's sakes, take into consideration, they pull over everywhere on Revere Street now. I lived there. These good people who made mention of all these great things that bicycling does don't live on Revere Street. I do. I represent a great portion. I represent all of Revere Street. We're not suggesting that bicycling is not good for you, and I'm not suggesting that it does wonderful things for your health. But I'm saying it's more dangerous to ride a bike on Revere Street than anywhere in the city. And to suggest that Revere Street is safe, it's not safe. I'm always out there worrying about people. Just earlier, try to get one ways in a different direction to control the traffic pattern, to provide safety. This here is dangerous. Sounds great and it looks good on paper. Everybody would want one of these in their community. Then you're saying the connector road is American Legion Highway? Oh, God's sakes, go look at it. I mean, go on American Legion Highway and tell me that that's a safe place to drive a bike. Tell me that.
Council, I'm not.
And so I'm fighting against this particular proposal based on public safety. Solely on that. The logic of bicycling is great.
I understand that.
And so I oppose it.
Okay, I understand that. And that's not the intent. The intent is to make people aware that bicyclists are on the roadway. So you see it in every community around. They're everywhere now. And it's just the intent. If somebody sees a bike lane, they become more aware of there's a possibility of a bike being on them. Bicyclists go up and down Revere Street all the time. And
Chief,
so I'm just, and it's not taking away anything. All it is putting markings on the street.
Putting the markings there is absolutely, nobody's going to pay attention to them. They don't pay attention to the no parking signs now. And there's nobody.
The bike's going to get hit, and then we're going to have a terrible thing. But they're going to pay attention.
And now
there are people that don't pay attention to anything.
Now there's a new trend out there. We never had cars parking in a southerly direction, a westerly direction on Revere Street in recent years. Now we have.
Well, that's a police matter.
Well, it doesn't. That's what I'm suggesting. It's up to the police department. It's not happening.
I don't think it's doing any.
And I just challenge anybody to tell me that that's a safe place for a bike. And I don't want it on my conscience.
No roadway's safe for a bike anymore, because there are people out there like that.
But we're sanctioning it. We're telling people to do that. Once we put these sharrows there, we're telling people it's safe for you to drive there. And out of town.
We have to move it to a public hearing anyway.
Oh, this isn't the public hearing? I thought this is the public hearing.
What it was the request. This was number one.
This is a public hearing.
Informational.
Oh, so we're just doing a traffic commission for that? And it's one way. Okay. All right. Thank you, Council. So any other?
May we just offer some additional information regarding the bike path?
Sure.
I'm Diane Colola from...
Diane, may I interrupt a second?
Yeah, sure.
Any other opponents? Let me finish that side of it. Opponents? You're against it.
Jackie Origema. I live at 8 Pierre Street, which is right across from Billy T's, and I am against this. I don't see a lot of bicyclists on Revere Street, and I am there all the time. I go back and forth to Paul Revere School several times a day to pick up my grandchildren. I don't see any. We got rid of two-sided parking many years ago. Now you're going to take space. I want to know what happens when you return from the beach and you're at North Shore Road, and there's 2 lanes there. One to go straight ahead, one to take a left on the light going toward Wonderland Station. How can you take up part of that lane where the buses and the cars travel to put a bike lane in, to give them
It doesn't
right
take
away.
it just.
It does take space.
No, I mean, if there's no bikes on it, the people can travel at the lane.
Do
It
you
just
have
makes
any
people aware that
statistics?
bikes are there.
Wait,
That's all it's doing.
How many
This
people have
is,
been hit on their bicycles in Revere?
I don't have those figures, do you?
Exactly, because there aren't any.
Yes, there are. There
No,
are people that hit.
there aren't.
This is making it more conducive to bike riders. That's all it is. I mean, this is diabolical plan to eliminate parking spaces, truly. It's happening throughout the whole Commonwealth and the country.
I don't care about the Commonwealth. I
Well, we
live on
do.
Revere
I mean,
Street.
I care about the Commonwealth and the city. I mean, you can't say that. I mean,
Why not the rest of Revere Street? Why
Okay,
only
well,
from
we'll do it.
American
They'll
Legion?
start that,
Why not
yeah.
Broadway? Why not Beach Street?
yeah, we'll do it down the beach. We'll do the boulevard. It's coming. It is coming, ma'am.
It
But
belongs on the boulevard. It doesn't belong
well, how do you
on
get to the
Revere Street.
boulevard? You don't
The
drop
letter-
in by helicopter.
The letter from here said that more people would take the T. They'd ride their bike and take the T. Really?
Could I-
That's a little
All right.
bizarre.
Just
That's a little
note,
bizarre.
if I might. There is nothing on the laws now from precluding anybody from riding a bike on Revere Street. It's just the...
Right.
Right, so bikes can use Revere Street now. The bike lane identifies that there may be cyclists on that street.
We know
to
that
enhance
anyway. There could
that
be-
enhances public safety. That bike lane enhances the fact that they're identifying that there is a bike lane on the street, and you potentially could have bicycles traversing on Revere Street. There's nothing on the books today. The police can't go down there and say, you can't ride your bike on Revere Street.
Of course not.
The only areas of the Commonwealth you can't ride a bike is on public highways. Both my two children go to school in Boston. Commonwealth Avenue, all the major arteries, they all have bike paths. My children use
Do
them.
you realize the width of those streets that you're talking about?
Not all of them.
They have them on regular. No,
They have,
you can't
they
say
have
that.
20 times
You're wrong.
the amount
You're
of
wrong.
traffic that Revere Street has on Commonwealth Avenue, Boylston Street, Beacon Street. Beacon Street
They're
is not a
They're
big highway.
huge streets.
They're not huge streets.
They
Go
are.
to
I
Beacon
work
Street,
there.
they are not huge streets.
worked on
Portions of it have,
All right,
and
let's-
portions aren't.
Well, I'm against it, and I really
Okay,
wish
thank you
you would
very
consider
much.
that.
Thank you. Any other opponents? Any other opponents? Step up to the mic. Thank you.
My name is Georgianne DeCosta. I live on 235 Revere Street in Revere. And I have been there for many years, and my mother lived there for many years, so I know what I'm talking about. That section of Revere Street, what you're saying about from American Legion over to the ocean, I have never seen a cyclist on that street, ever, because of the fact that they know it's too narrow to go down that street on a bike, whether they're on the street or on the sidewalk or wherever they want to ride. It is too narrow. Revere is a very old city, and it wasn't made to have bicycles go alongside of cars. And whether you want to make it obvious or not that bicycling is wonderful, that's great. But you can't do it on Revere Street in that section. If you want to do it someplace else, fine. But you can't do it in that section because of the fact that there's parking in the places where you want to put the bicycles. And nobody's going to pay attention to it. They've never seen it for dozens of years.
I just want to correct it.
They've never seen it.
On the side where there's parking, it's called the shared lane, and the bike lane is actually in the
But it's
travel
not
lane.
big enough to share. That's what I'm
But
saying.
the bikes are on the street now, ma'am. I beg to
They
differ
are
with
not
you in
on
all
the
due
street.
respect.
I've lived there many years.
All right, I've ridden my own bike there, so we can't even go
Well,
down that
maybe
road.
you.
Well, there's plenty of
But
people.
I've never seen
Please,
any bikes on that street.
There have been plenty.
They
truly.
haven't been.
Truly, there have been.
No,
But
there haven't.
Thank you. All right, I will
No.
agree to disagree. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other opponents? Anyone?
I just want to make one statement on this here. This is just put before us, so we're aware of what's going on. There's no approval from us needed for this here. There's nothing on the books in regards to bike lanes as it stands right now. And I mean, as far as debate over it, there's no rules on it. It's letting them know. No, it's letting the people know that there are bikes on the road. I mean, there's no approval needed.
Well, the city would fund it through its striping program. The street has just been repaved, and as part of that repaving is striping.
In your experience with MAPC and other communities, I mean, have you seen this to be a detriment at all?
Well, not at all. It's an opportunity. You know, Somerville, Cambridge, Boston.
Have you seen light streets in size, traffic?
I've seen narrower streets be accommodated on bike lanes. In this particular street, there's room for a bike lane in one direction, which is why we're only posing it in one direction, is a regulation size bike lane, 4 feet, 11-foot travel lane, and then on the other side of travel lane and the parking. It all meets the regulation standards based on what we're proposing. And it's instituted, you know, throughout. There's right in the busy street, Harvard Street in Alston, Brighton has a bike lane on one side and a Sherrill on the other side on a much busier street. I mean, that street's back-to-back traffic all day.
And it's not eliminating the travel of vehicles, et cetera, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it doesn't cut out parking spaces?
Not a single parking space is
Correct.
removed.
Okay.
Not a single change.
Okay, thank you. So, Sergeant Janino, what?
Is there any additional signage required that has to be approved by us, other than just marking the pavement with a bicycle lane?
No.
It's not necessary to put signage up. And
So it's basically going to be the same as it is right now, without the markings, if we just mark the streets?
Yeah, it's basically, the bicycles have the right to use the lane anyway, on either side. This designates an area, kind of trying to make it a little safer than that's plausible.
Commissioner Colella, you weren't here earlier. Do you want to speak on this? Or?
Kate and I both want to speak.
Okay.
In favor of the bike path. Kate has some data here to crash data.
Yeah, so this is 10-year crash data for all of Revere, and it shows that while pedestrian bicycle accidents do happen throughout the city, that Revere Street, despite the level of traffic that it experiences, is actually one of the safest streets in the city for bicyclists and pedestrians.
That's why it's safe.
Personal privilege. Level speakers to finish their statements.
All right. So whoever's at the podium.
You're supposed to rise to the occasion as proponents. It's not the opponents now, and that's.
Well, Commissioner Colella wasn't here at the time, and that's why I've afforded her this opportunity. And Kate has actual statistics that were brought up earlier, and I am going to allow Kate to give us the statistics.
Do you want a copy of this map?
That would be very nice. You can give Sergeant Janino.
I can make more copies.
Okay.
I'm a Revere on the Move team member, and Kate's been working on this for quite a while, and we're just trying to promote healthy eating, active living in the city of Revere. And as you had stated, I know the streets may be sized differently in Boston, but there's also a lot more traffic, a lot more bikers. So all things being equal, I think all things being equal, it would be a really good thing for the residents of the city of Revere. Okay, it's okay.
So the number of bicyclists in Revere has been shown to be on the rise. We don't have any counts from Revere Street from this past summer. However, there has been a great deal of response to Revere on the Move requesting that there's more pedestrian facilities and more bicycle facilities in the city. It also would support the Safe Routes to School program that the entire school district has launched.
Okay, thank you.
And the creation of the bike lane narrows the travel lane visually, not actually, and so that it actually makes it safer for pedestrians to cross the street at this section of Revere Street, as well as slowing down traffic, making it safer for bicyclists and pedestrians, as well as drivers.
I do apologize to
Thank
the
you.
commission if I caused a little bit of interference.
Never.
I didn't realize this had
Never.
happened before the fact, so I do
Thank you, Diane.
apologize. Thank you.
Officer Lucero?
With all due respect, I'm not a proponent or opponent of this, but I understand that the shots of taken were at the widest part of Revere Street. The corner would be the hardest part to take care of because I don't think it's actually one dimension coming around, and would be the part of Revere Street would be the biggest problem would be near American Legion Highway, because I do think that it comes a little closer in. But I do understand that as of right now, there's more pushing for bicycles to be driven, to be rode in cities, and that's where it's going to. We're not the only city. There's a lot more people riding bikes. And it can be done, whether they're proposing it, as having one lane on one side and a shared lane on the other side, if it's a shared lane. The other thing is that signage would have to be put up on one side of the street, the other side of the street, telling that there's the bike lane there, and then signage would be put on the other side of the street, denoting that that's a shared lane. Because on the bike lanes, the cars cannot travel or park in that area. On the shared lane, they can travel together. And also, there's a big push in law enforcement right now that we are being instructed on how to cite bicyclists through a citation concerning their actions. So this is where it's going, concerning with traffic, bicycle ridership, and also with it's not just that the operators of motor vehicles are being cited for not doing what they were supposed to, it's also bicyclists that are taken into account.
Thank you, Officer. Any of the members?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we can't deny the fact that bicyclists in the city is growing. When this was first brought to my attention, I had the same reaction as Councilor Guanasso and the other two residents of Revere Street. But I looked at it in a different way. I looked at it a way for motorists to be educated, to give them awareness that bicyclists are on the same roadway as them, to be cognizant of that fact, and allow them to share the roadway. Without the bike lanes and without the sharrows, bicyclists are still going to be on the roadway, and motorists are going to be unaware of them. Now there's an awareness, there's a public awareness that when you're driving on a road that has a sharrow on it, that you're sharing a bicyclist. And it really amps up your attention to bicyclists, and I think that's what we want to do. We want to make sure motorists are aware that bicyclists are on the road, and it is basically a safety measure. And that's the way I'm looking at it, and I support it. And it's going to be coming into Revere. We're going to be trying it on Broadway with shared sharrows. We're going to be instituting it in other streets in the city. We're starting on Revere Street. It's going to move to Beach Street. And it's going to happen throughout the city, as it has in other cities. So we have to embrace it and protect the bicyclists that are going to use it. And with it there, I think we may see more bicyclists going to Revere Beach and using it for purposes of using other modes of transportation, taking it to the T, going to work, and taking their bikes and parking at the T. So again, this was just a forum to allow both sides to speak out about it and educate the public. It doesn't require a vote of the commission for an ordinance change. It just requires our support. So DPW can go ahead and put the lines in the pavement markings. So I obviously support it. I've done a complete 360 on it, and I agree with the people that spoke as proponents.
Thank you.
Chief, I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for this and to maintain it?
Well, I asked the gentleman that
listen to what Frank just said. Revere Street is one street and it's a certain distance. Now
Right.
you're talking Broadway, Beach Street. I mean, who's going to pay for this?
The-
Crosswalks we can't get painted.
That's not true, Council.
Well,
That is
it
not
is
true.
true.
Well, it
That
would
is
come
not
out.
true.
It would
Every
come out of the striping
crosswalk in the city gets done at
budget,
least once a year.
striping
some
budget
twice.
of the
Well,
city.
my thing is,
But it's for our citizens. We're doing this for
I
not.
understand
This
that,
is
but
not
I'm
like
saying,
people
I just
coming
hope
in
there's a
from New Hampshire.
There's a mechanism to the pre-maintenance of this, to do it once a year or something. Because all of a sudden, you're going to have the streets look, brand new streets look horrible with paint marks, deteriorate and everything. We have rough winters around here. They have to be painted every year. I'm just asking, where is the money source for this?
The city council will have to vote for that money for us.
Well,
that's sad.
I'm not
this is
against
sad
it.
that we're.
I'm not
I
against-
mean,
I'm not
I know,
against
but
it
it's.
for or against it.
This is like everywhere around they're doing it. I travel a lot, and it's not. I mean, other countries there's bike lanes. Everybody is more conducive to the bike traveler nowadays because it is healthier, it's more economical, and we're providing the service to our own citizens to ride to the beach.
I understand that, and I'm all for a bike ride. I'm not against that. What I'm saying is, we as a council are gonna get complaints that these things look, you know, when they're gonna paint this, when they're gonna paint that. It's gonna have to be done in the middle of the night. You're not gonna be able to paint this during the day because the Revere Street is Revere Street. So I'm just saying, the pre-maintenance, I'm just thinking ahead of what I'm gonna get in the city council, people calling my house, you know, they're gonna fix this, paint that. And, you know, money's tough out there, trust me. There's money the city right now doesn't have. I'm just looking at, I mean, there's grant money out there, hopefully it's there, but put it in for pre-maintenance of this also. That's
Well,
all I'm
I'd venture to say at some point, Chapter 90 funds could be sent that way.
I just want to reiterate what Mr. Stringy had to say, is that this is public awareness for public safety. It's no different than when councils come up and they want us to add crosswalks or they want us to add striping to certain streets. We've had stop signs. We've had, I mean, there's enough signs on some of the poles in the street that they're ready to fall over because they get 6 and 7 signs on them. This is just where the future is going. The future is going towards more people utilizing bikes. And the fact of the matter is, nobody's going to stop the utilization of the bikes. People need to be aware that the motorists are sharing the roads with bicyclists. And the only way to do that is in the safest possible manner, and that is with identified bike lanes. Whether they're utilized to the point that they aren't or not, we still have to make motorists aware that there are people on the road. No different than when they have these campaigns about motorcyclists using helmets. Be aware that there's motorcyclists on the road. It's the same thing. It's a public safety issue. The bicyclists are residents just like everybody else. They deem to have the same safety precautions and things of this nature put into effect so they can utilize the streets as well as the motorist. There are no laws in the books presently other than major highways that bicyclists can't use the roads. But in the fact they are using these roads, there needs to be identifiable marked lanes to suggest to the motorist that the bicyclists are out there. Now, this is just something new. Years ago, there were all kinds of problems with, you know, we don't want to expand, people don't want to do this. As generations come about and more bicyclists come, 10 years from now, this will be a non-issue. But because it's a new issue and people don't like change, people don't like any change, no matter what it is. And then once something has a chance to get put in place, people can see how people are using things in a sensible and reasonable manner, that 10 years down the road, this is not an issue. It's an issue now because we're behind the times when it comes to the fact that we're trying to make our community more user-friendly to get to the places that are what I consider in Revere, the biggest jewel that we have is our coastline, is Revere Beach. And if we can give opportunities for people from a recreational standpoint to get to that beach in a safe manner by identifying lanes, this isn't going to be the only one. This is the first one. And there will be many more in the future. And 20 years from now, there'll probably be every major street and corridor in the country that will have these bike lanes. That's the way it's going. And this just happens to be the first one that's being put into the city of Revere. But given time, like anything else, when people are opposed to changes, that I think this will be successful. I have some of the concerns that Council Guanasso has and the residents there. I'm still concerned about safety because I see the traffic that's on Revere Street. I go up and down the traffic on Revere Street. But the simple fact is that if it's identified as a bike lane, that the motorist and the people know that that lane is identified for bike usage. Doesn't mean they're going to be there 100% of the time, but it lets them know that they do need to be aware that bicycles could be in that lane. And that in itself makes it a safer street to use. It may slow down the traffic because people are concerned about, if they come flying down the street, they may encounter a little child on a bicycle or anybody else on a bicycle. It doesn't stop people from using the lane now from bicycles. I've heard that Revere Street has never been used for bicycling. I see bicyclists there, not all the time, but on occasion I do see people, especially when there's good weather, people heading toward the beach, coming from the beach. And I just think it's something that needs to be put in place for the public safety of all people, the motorists themselves and the bicyclists as well. more importantly, the bicyclist. You go through the,
Can I ask
Thank
you
you.
a question? What happens if a car is parked illegally in a bike lane, and now the bicyclist has to go about into the traffic? And I'm going to tell you very clearly, that's going to happen every single day. It's not going to happen once in a while, it's gonna be
What
every
happens
day.
now, Counselor? They go around it, they use caution,
Well, we're
common
encouraging
sense.
people to use this because it's a safe path. We don't, and I'm talking about people who are visiting our community
Oh, no.
who don't know the heavy traffic on the street.
I have to disagree with you, Counselor.
I know I'm going nowhere, but I have to say what I have to say.
Understood, understood. Thank you.
I can understand where.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know my name, James Taza. I had diabetes. I still have it. And if it wasn't for biking, I would be independent with insulin. And I'm on the pills. Now I have MS. And I'm not going to let biking slow me down. And I like biking down to the Revere Beach. And hopefully biking will stop my MS progressing. Just been diagnosed with it. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question of the representative from MAPC, if I may.
Sure.
You stated earlier that the layout that you provided was consistent with current standards. Can you just speak to where those standards come from, and
MassDOT, Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
MassDOT, would that include?
Also includes AASHTO, American
AASHTO as
Association
well?
of State Highway Transportation Officials.
Okay, thank you. The reason that I asked that question is because from an engineering standpoint, there isn't a safety issue because you have the bike lane being designed in concert with what Mass DOT and AASHTO has put forth as appropriate for those, for that type of travel lanes. Because of that, from an engineering standpoint and a transportation engineer, I'm in favor of this because it will increase safety, and there is, I mean, you can go back and forth with it, but there is, under standards, there is enough room to include what is being proposed. Thank you.
Okay. Entertain. Yes, sir.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Anthony Arnold. I run a business at 544B Revere Street. It's a taxi business. Everybody agrees bicycles are good. There's no doubt about it. You can't argue the fact they're healthy. You want people to come to the beach. The problem is there's only 6 access streets to get to Revere Beach. You got the Point of Pines, which nobody can get there because they'd have to come over the bridge down the Linway. The next one is Oak Island, which leads to a small little community, not much people going there. There's no T-line there to bring people to the beach. The next one, when you come down, is Revere Street. Revere Street is the haven for everybody that comes from north of Revere in the morning to bypass North Shore Road because it's backed up. They all go down, and they all come down Revere Street, and they all go faster than the speed limit. And if you continue down, the next one is Shirley Ave. Again, you have a small area. Beach Street is very tiny also, and then you have the beginning of Revere Beach. Nobody questions that biking is not the way to go. It's not that it's healthy for everybody. It's a good thing. However, if you paint a bike lane on Beach Street or Revere Street or Shirley Ave, a family of 5 is going to get on there and have a very false sense of security that, hey, this is a bike lane. I'm allowed in here. Cars are not going to come here. In the meantime, you're going to have buses going around them, school buses going around them, taxi cabs going around them, vans, livery people, everybody trying to avoid the traffic at the intersection of Revere Street and North Shore Road. All of them. It's a false sense of security. Who would have the right of way? If I'm in the bike lane and my bicycle, does the car have to go around me or stay behind me? That's going to just create frustration with drivers, and most of the drivers aren't even from Revere. They're from out of Revere. I live in New Hampshire. I drive it every day. It takes me 10 minutes to go 1 block to get through the light at the MBTA has to direct traffic for the buses, so the buses aren't late because they want to turn left. It's not that biking is bad. Hey, it's a great thing, but I think it's going to create a false sense of security for a bicyclist if there's painted lines. If we put signs, diagonal signs at the crosswalks that blink, beware bicycles, it puts awareness and it doesn't take up the lane and everybody's kind of happy. But the streets just don't have the real estate to allocate dedicated bike lanes. It may in some spots, but not all spots.
The engineering officials disagree with your assessment based on.
And we're not reinventing something here.
We're not
This is,
reinventing
I'm not
this is something that's been
doubting the
time tested.
reinvention of the wheel, but-
We're going to move this along now, all right? Thank you for your comments. All right. So is there a motion to, by this board, that we either approve of this matter or disapprove?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we direct the DPW to put the pavement markings in for bicycle lane on Revere Street as recommended, as the plan is recommended by MAPC in accordance with AASHTO standards.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. So this council, the Traffic Commission goes on record as being in favor of a bike lane. Thank you for your comments. We'll now go back to the order of business. We're in public hearings in section 5.
Point of information, section 5 is already on the books the way it is.
Why is this here?
It's not posted,
Oh, okay.
but it's on the books.
All right. Motion to approve or disapprove section 9? We're just going through it, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a go.
No, it's already approved, you say.
All right. It's already in the books? Okay.
Yeah. Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Section second, all in favor? Aye, thank you. Section 7, Title 10, Chapter 1032, Section 1032.160 of the revised ordinance of the City of Revere, buses, taxis, and taxis away from stops or stands is hereby amended by ending the first sentence with a period after the words "at any time" and deleting the words "between the hours of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m." The owner or lessee of any bus, taxi cab, hackney, pupil, or livery shall be allowed to park overnight between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. within the municipal parking lot, the north lot, or any other parking lot allowed by the parking clerk, provided such owner or lessee secures a parking sticker for such overnight parking. The fee and conditions for such parking stickers shall be determined by the parking clerk. Anyone want to discuss this one? Frank, it's Council Penta.
Let me start out, Commission, Richie Penta, Ward 1, Council 140, Crest Ave, Revere. Just want to start out that I see some of the local cab owners here. This is not actually geared towards them. This is basically out of city cabs, Boston cabs. By law, they have to register in Boston. We get no excise tax from them. We get nothing but them taking up space in Revere. The ordinance is on the books now. And basically what it says is from 6 at night to 6 in the morning, you're not allowed on off-street parking. All I'm looking to do is to give the police department a little break here because they can't tag enough. The tagging that they're doing, these Boston and outside livery cars will gladly pay the fine. Because they're registered in Boston, they're supposed to have off-street parking in Boston, and I'm sure the cost is that much greater than a few parking tickets they get. And that's why I spoke earlier on increasing the parking ticket to $50. This here is given the ticket writers that we have in the city that work from 6 to 6 to go out there and tag these cars. And basically these cabs out of the Boston cabs and the livery business is basically done more at night than it is during the day. So they are taking our space in Revere. They're running businesses illegally out of their houses. Like I said before, just on my street alone, I believe there's 6 livery cars and a couple off-street livery cars, and Boston cabs, another 6 or 7 of them, on one street and 2 off side streets. Throughout Revere, there's probably 200 of these, all registered in Boston. We don't make a penny off them. Revere owners have to register their cars in Revere, and they abide by the laws. These cabs are not even allowed to pick up in Revere, the Boston cabs. So I'm just looking to alleviate a headache as a ward councilor for my constituents that call me on a regular basis. It's an ongoing problem getting out of control.
Council, how did they, if they're not registered in the city and we don't get the excise tax,
Right.
how do they register in Boston? What do they use for an address?
There's 300 cabs registered with a P.O. box.
Oh.
300 of them are registered on one
I thought
P.O.
that
box.
wasn't, the registry didn't allow that.
Well, they
Because
allow
that's
it.
how people,
Boston doesn't
they were
care.
doing a P.O. box down the Cape and they were getting, cheaper rates. I thought you weren't allowed to do that.
No, Boston doesn't care because they're getting the excise tax.
Yeah.
So-
But they have high insurance rates, so it doesn't make.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean.
All right, no, I mean, I agree with you,
But what I'm saying
why
is,
aren't they?
The thing is, the few tickets that we do give them, and the police do
Yeah.
do their job as often as they can, they gladly pay it. I mean, one medallion, I don't know if people realize, one medallion in Boston is $500,000. One. $500,000. I'm sure they can abide by their own rules and pay for commercial property in Boston and park there. But what's happening is there's so many of them, they're actually having people that work for them drive their personal car here, park in our streets, take the livery car or the cab, go to the airport and do their business, and then come back here and leave the car on the street.
Right.
I mean, it's throughout the city. I guarantee there's at least a minimum of 200 of these registered in Boston. I ran a lot of livery car plates. They're registered in Boston won't even give you another certificate. There's so many. I know the Hackney officer in Boston, he told me they're all coming to Revere and Everett. He's getting inundated. And that was 6 months, a year ago, and he knew his business. Over 300, well, add the Boston cabs to it because there's a lot of them. And I've talked to some of them. I see them in Beachmont. I warned them. I was, you're breaking the city ordinance. And they look at you, well, you don't own the street. I'll pay the ticket. Give me a ticket. So I'm looking for relief for the residents of my ward, just asking these people to obey by our laws. And for some reason, they're not. They pay the ticket. They gladly pay it. But increasing the ticket, I wanted to go so far as towing them. But I guess if you don't have signage up in the streets, you can't have them towed. But, I mean, that would be the next thing that I'll push for. But I'm just asking for this body to...
Section 8, 9, and 10, 8, 9, and 13 are yours then, right? Or 8, 9, the same part?
It's the same thing. I mean,
it's all related to this?
Yes. The only reason, I mean, I couldn't single out Boston cabs and liveries. You just can't single them out. So it was all cabs and liveries. But I think that getting a message out there, just the enforcement, like I said, the police at nighttime don't have the time to ticket these things. So 6 to 6. The only thing I ask is, and I don't know how it works, maybe Officer Janino could tell me, if somebody tickets, if a police officer or one of our ticket writers tickets a car, when's the next hour you could ticket them again? Because they just stay there.
Normally, they'll do it once a day, once per...
So once 24
period.
hours?
Yeah, normally.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just asking for relief of the residents of my ward, and I hope this board votes in favor of this. Thank you.
Any other proponents of this?
Hi, again, my name is Reddy Redoizu, representing Patriot Taxi. My concern with this, and I am for keeping the outside taxi business, livery business owners parking their vehicles and operating in the city of Revere. I'm all for that. My concern is that if this does go through, that, again, I'm going to specify the local taxi businesses and the vehicles that are registered in the city of Revere with medallions, license certificates, whatever it may be exempt from the wording, because if not, how is the parking clerk or parking meters going to defer if one of my drivers driving a cab wants to step out at their house for whatever reason and it's parked on the street? Are they going to get a ticket? How are they going to defer? It's on the cab, it says Revere, Mass. Are they going to be able to determine this is a Revere cab, I'm not going to give them a ticket? Or are they just going to issue a ticket to every taxi that is parked on the street, even though we're a business owner? It's going to cause a big conflict. So the word exempt for local taxi owners that are licensed in the city of Revere. I think that it is very important that we are exempt, because if it's just left in the general, any taxi cab, livery, school pupil, whatever it may be, parking in the city of Revere gets a ticket. We get ticketed now. We put quarters and meters on Broadway waiting for a taxi spot, and they give us a ticket while the driver's in the car sitting at the meter. We get a ticket doing that now. So I believe this is going to cause a big issue with the local business owners. So I hope that everybody can take into consideration that we use the word exempt. Thank you.
Any other proponents?
All right. Richard Picardi, Jr., Director of Operations, Yellow Taxi and Transportation Revere. These ordinance from, I think it needs some elaboration. For me, anyway, it's something to elaborate. Like Mr. Radowazo stated, when someone has to either use the facility at his home and or have lunch at his house, and he parks his taxi cab at the house that says during any time of the day, he'll be cited. And also, Mr. Pender stated he couldn't use the word Revere cabs only because you can't have selective enforcement, which could create a problem. As he said, if you use the word exempt, that's against the Constitution to selectively enforce something. So this does have to be either rewritten or someone to elaborate on what it's going to mean, and really how it's going to be enforced. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Councilor Penta, do you want to talk on that, whether that can...
It's a valid point to bring up. I'm not here. They register the cars in Revere. We don't make an excise tax for them. You know, somebody goes home, like you said, to go to the bathroom or whatever. I mean, I don't know. Boston Hackney is very clear. It says Boston Hackney on them. I mean, there's no way you could not distinguish a local cab opposed to a Boston cab. It's just, you can't do it.
I just question.
I don't know
if we can make it exempt, but so we'd have to look at that.
I honestly don't know the localities of that. I don't know.
And
But I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with giving them an exemption on that.
Well, if we approve this as it is now, it would have to come back as another public hearing to add to it, or can we make an amendment to this?
Could you just put an amendment in saying those that aren't, those cars that are registered in Revere?
I would put a license by
an exempt.
As an amendment? Where are you going to, what section are you going to put it in?
Well, I think Officer Gino has a great point there. I mean, every one of these cabs are registered at the Revere Police Station. They're under their jurisdiction. It could be exemption for anybody that's registered at the Revere Police doing business in Revere.
Where do you fit that in? Where do you put that?
The only downside that I see to that is that it seems since I sat on the council, there's been a proliferation of Hackney licenses distributed throughout the community. Now, presently, the people that are here, I know them well. I mean, they pay the money. They have lots. They put in. Now, if there's another company that comes in and they are licensed by the city of Revere, are they going to start doing exactly what we're trying to prevent the Boston people from doing now? Because once you issue them that license, then they can park on the street, because you're exempting them from Revere licenses from parking on the street overnight, which these people don't do anyway.
But that wouldn't happen because it's capped at 75. You couldn't just keep giving out taxi permits.
Well, at one time, Richie, there was 30. Now there's 75.
It was always, I think.
Now they decide to issue 100.
One of the requirements in order to have a cab company is you have to have off-street parking for all your vehicles and your employees' vehicles.
I understand that.
If you don't have the off-street
A small
parking,
business comes in.
we're not giving it to them.
Look, and these guys are a perfect example. They start in one area, they got a small lot, they expand, they had to expend capital to go out and get a bigger place with more room, and so you get a new company that comes in, they start out with 2 or 3 cabs, within 5 years they get 10, they're still operating out of the same place, they only have parking for 2.
But Don, you cannot get a license right now unless you show a place of business where you keep these cars.
I understand that, Richie, but the point
outside
is,
people, Boston cabs,
who
they just have a
watches
free
for
rein.
expansion? I see what these fellas from Revere have had to do when they've expanded. They've had to throw capital out there to rent garages, buy parking lots, buy garages so they can facilitate the maintenance of their vehicles. And then we've had other companies that have tried to come into the city, and they're trying to operate out of a postage stamp. It's not fair to the long-time people. And who is going to keep record or notice of when that expansion starts, when you issue a license for 2, and they got parking for 2, and all of a sudden they got 6, 7 cabs, and now this ordinance would allow them to take those cars home.
Number
see
one, when they come to the police department, if they want another medallion, they have to come and apply for the second medallion, third medallion, fourth medallion. They have to show us where they're putting these cars, so we know they're off the street.
If they're applying for a medallion, what if they put a livery plate on?
Right now, the livery cars aren't regulated the way it should be in the city, and we're trying to get, through the chief right now, and Officer Cyrus.
Well, right now, if you want a livery business in Revere,
I think the
you have
most
to apply,
common sense.
you actually have to go to the building department. They're gonna ask you your place of business. If you don't give them a place of business that you can park this car, they're gonna refuse you the license, which they're doing on a daily basis now.
When we have site
So-
plan review every Tuesday, Richie, the number one thing that Gene can attest with, Frank, and Nick, all 4 of us are on site plan review. The number one request is for these livery companies to do business out of their house. And we have to deny them, and we deny them all, and we send them down to the police.
But what they're doing, and you're 100% right what you say, but what they're doing,
they go to Boston.
No,
And
they're
get the
thumbing their
PO
nose
box.
at you, registering them some other
But they
city.
they can't go to Massport if
And
they
they're
don't
doing-
have, because they have to get a business certificate out of clerk's office. Is that right, Frank?
They'll get the business
I
certificate
think-
out of
Doesn't
Boston.
matter
They
what
get a
city.
PO
No,
box.
they don't get it out of Boston. They're getting it out.
Boston's refusing every
Right.
one of them. They can
So
go to
they try- they
Brookline,
go to- they
go to
can't get
Everett.
the business
So
certificate
how
out
are
of
they
us.
getting a business certificate in Revere?
They're
if
not.
they've got a
They're
PO
just
box in
circumventing
Boston?
it.
They're not. They're getting
But
them
I thought
somewhere
you had
else.
it. I thought you had to have that to go drive over Massport. I
That
thought
is-
Massport was the one that was
You're
requiring it.
100% correct. They have to
Right.
be registered at one city somewhere. It doesn't matter if you're registered in Revere. You
Yeah.
can be registered in Everett, Brookline.
Did you show you have a
You could
business?
run the plates and delivery cars, at least in Ward 1. And I guarantee you 99 out of 100 of them are registered in Brookline, Brighton, or somewhere else. You know, and we're losing excise tax and everything else on it. I mean,
So
my
can we-
thing is, they're actually parking in permit parking spaces that residents can't even park in front of their own house. I mean, it's getting out of hand. It's really getting out of hand.
I agree with you. I mean, we talked about this many, many, many times, and I think something has to be done. It's just that I'm willing to support what you're suggesting here tonight. What I'm unsure of is what the other businesses is that if there was a common sense approach to this enforcement, basically these livery guys go into an area and they inundate an area, whereas somebody utilizing one of our local taxi businesses goes home for supper or goes home to take a shower because he's been working all day and he's going to work a second shift and he wants to come out. If the common sense approach was, let's leave those guys alone because we know basically they're not the ones that are creating this problem throughout the community. So if there was a common sense approach to the enforcement of the ordinance, I think it would work well for everybody concerned. But how do we ensure our current taxi owners who obey all the rules and regulations that this is not going to happen to them and it won't be used as some type of revenue enhancing program at some point down the road? That's my only concern towards them. I think the common sense approach would be to, recognize that they aren't the problem and attack the root of the problem before you start looking for
But I can't see why
problems
you
where
could
there's
not
no
put an
area.
exemption in there. If it's registered at the Revere Police Department, City Hall, Building Department, doing business in Revere, which is a law, you have to register that car in Revere. All right, it would not get a permit. So that's on the books. And exempt them from...
I'll make an amendment to exempt the licensee, barring that city solicitor tells us that it's legal. I don't know, Chris, is it legal?
What if we worded it up? I mean, put it to the solicitor, that Title 10, Chapter 10.32, Section 10.32.160, the advisory orders Revere, buses and taxis not licensed by the city of Revere away from stops or stands. Give that word to the solicitor's office, see if it is legal, and if it is legal, accept it the way it is. If not, address it again at the next public hearing, which is going to be in
Nick?
the first week of May after they come back.
Mr. Chairman,
That
Fair enough to me. I mean, I'm just trying to resolve a
Well,
problem
I-
that's
and
getting out of
It's a
hand.
serious problem. It's not a small issue any longer.
I got people wanting to move out of
I
Beechmont to
know.
live there 5
My
generations. It's
brother
actually
moved-
sad.
Yeah.
It's sad that we can't
Nick,
control it.
let's
Mr.
Nick
Chairman,
talk.
if you read towards the end of that section, there is somewhat of an exemption that talks about, allowing, provided such owner secures a parking sticker for such overnight parking, yada, 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 from the parking clerk. Wouldn't that be a situation where a local, company could get that exemption from the parking?
That's on the street parking lots.
That's only for the parking lots, not
Yeah,
on
what
the
what
streets.
the parking clerk is basically saying on that is if these cabs that do business in Boston want to come and rent a space from one of our lots, then
Yeah, he's looking to make money on the thing.
that's exactly what he's trying to do.
Mr.
But, I
Chairman.
mean, but the engineer brings a good point up. Why couldn't you give, I'm sure you probably have stickers on your cars
All right.
now.
Frank?
So, I mean,
Medallion, the medallion identifies it.
All right, little order, come on.
not a fee, I'm just saying a sticker that says you're in Revere.
Frank? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, we all like and support this amendment presented by Councilor Penta. Why don't we make that, why don't we table this until we get the city solicitor to agree to language we can incorporate in here that'll exempt our local taxi cab owners, and then we take it up at our next meeting?
Sure.
I don't have a problem, but the quicker you do this, trust me, the better I can sleep.
All right, we're going to table section 7, 8, and 9 until we get we can insert the words licensed by the Revere Police Department and get a ruling from the solicitor that
Or I
it's
can
allowed.
change that, we can pass it now, subject to the city solicitor's
approval.
That might be better. Yeah, then it goes
Clarification,
through.
this way we get it.
Pass it.
All right,
That's even better.
Get it going.
okay. All right, all in favor? Second? No, this is just the
No,
public hearing.
The
so
motion
it-
is
yeah.
that we accept, that we approve the amendment, subject to the approval of the city solicitor, incorporate language that exempts local cab owners.
Okay. So be it. Done?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Officer, was it?
Section 6 again?
We skipped 6.
Gene,
What?
he's Officer Lucero.
Officer Lucero?
Was there anybody opposed for,
You opposed?
as it's written? Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, my apologies, sir. No disrespect to Councilor Penta. As it's written, I am opposed to it. I understand, and we do have a big problem with a lot of the outside cab drivers' liveries, especially with the cab drivers. As in Boston, they run on either a double shift or they run on a leasing program, 12-hour or 24-hour. What they do is they do park the vehicles here and they will switch off drivers. Our cab drivers do not do that. They all must be employees and working 8-hour shifts or however they work. There's no leased cabs in Revere. In Boston, other places, I do believe that they do lease the cabs, and that's how they do it. And I don't like it as much as anybody else, but the other thing I can see the problem is that they brought up the issue also, is that how are we going to differentiate it?
Because it's a commercial enterprise operating in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line of the whole issue.
And the thing is that the Registry of Motor Vehicles, as it stands, does not care. They will issue
It's a zoning violation as far
for
as I'm
us,
concerned.
for us. But what it is that the only reason they would come to us is because they have to go to Boston to the airport. If they don't have to go to Boston to the airport, we never see them at our city. So
Correct.
if a guy goes there, he registers his vehicle, he gets and let's say he just parks it off the street. There's a certain problems with in order enforcing it and trying to catch these guys. Because as 1 year there was 146 livery vehicles registered in Revere. 146. And that's not including all the drivers that they drive for them.
But they're not on public streets. They still.
There's some vehicles on public streets. Yes.
But what is
But if they
superintendent
don't-
says,
yeah.
they're supposed to have a place of business, not within a home. It's not zoned properly. And within that place of business, that's supposed to have a parking space. Whether they're
No, but what I'm saying is that most of one of the reasons they come to us is because they have to go to
It
Boston.
doesn't matter, for me, it doesn't matter what reason they come to.
No.
Revere.
But
That's the reason why they're coming to us, and it's like,
No.
but
And I could say-
Councilor Penta has been dealing with this issue before they started with the issue
Yes.
at Massport. The issue is, if they're operating in Boston, and they're conducting their business in Boston, and they're not paying excise tax in Boston, they're not paying any type of taxes in Revere, and then they want to place these cars that they're using as a commercial entity in a residential zone with not the required zoning, parking, or licenses, then they have to go.
No, I understand. I have
Regardless
no
of
problem.
what
but what
the
I
issue-
just, my thing is just with how it's written. I am fully, I would go out there and told them. To me, that's not a problem.
Right now, do you realize this is on the books?
No, I understand that.
He's
But-
only changing the hours to make
Yeah,
it
yeah.
24 hours
No,
instead of
no,
12 hours.
It's on the books, I understand that, but.
And it's being sent as written to the, with the proviso for the exemption for local businesses.
For the- yeah,
To
no,
be
no, yeah.
approved by the city solicitor. Once the city solicitor makes the determination, gives us a ruling, we'll either know whether what you're stating is in fact the way we should go, or we should go the way that Mr.
If the
Stringy
exemption
has
goes through
amended it.
Yeah, if the exemption goes through for the local, I have no problem with it. But I think that it also needs to be looked at a little harder, because I think there's some problems with the way it was written in the first place.
And that's why we're sending it
Yeah.
to our legal counsel.
Okay. As it's written, I'm opposed to it. There would have to be some amendments taken to it.
Thank you, Officer Lucero.
Just like to point this out.
It's already been approved, Rich.
It's already been approved, Counselor. Go away. Any other business before the commission? Oh, come on, Chris, you're killing me. I thought we did that. We said, huh? Oh, I thought we said that. I'm sorry. Section 6, Schedule 9 of Title 10, handicap persons parking areas by adding 79 Shirley Ave.
I know it's been approved. The only question I have about this, and she needs it, there's no question, is that in the event of a snowstorm, it's an emergency artery.
I thought we didn't allow handicap parking
Well,
on
the
Shirley Ave.
problem, the whole idea of having the
Right, it's the
handicap
emergency artery.
parking area, parking sign, as close to the front entrance or door as possible, because they're handicapped. Now, if we put this handicap sign, 200-300 yards away in front of somebody else's home, why do they need the sign if they can walk 200-300 yards?
Of Sumner?
This spot here is for a child, right? This the one
Yes.
for the child?
Yes, it is. They are severely handicapped.
All right, so if you pull up to the corner, it's the first spot in the corner.
On Sumner, is it a corner house?
It's a corner house. I thought it was the other day. Corner house over there. We had the same problem we had with the bed,
Right. We made it, right. Because it's not they don't have a vehicle, they just, right. I don't know if it has. Do you have anything from Cindy?
I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay. I make a motion that we place on file to the next regular meeting. We can get a ruling from Cindy and see if it's...
Second?
If we could do the same
All
thing
in
what we
favor?
did on Winter Ave with a loading zone.
Motion to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye. This concludes this elongated traffic commission hearing. Bike lane here, gone, off.